by Member Schilling. If everybody could please mute, and we'll let Member.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Schilling. Good evening. We greatly appreciate our staff, council, and residents adapting to our teleconference format due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Tonight's meeting will be held under Minnesota State Statute 13D.021 that permits a public body to hold a meeting by a telephone or other electronic means due to the COVID-19 pandemic. For members of the public, the meeting is being live streamed on the City of Wyoming YouTube page. The Wyoming City Council meeting will be recorded as part of the public record. After each agenda item is read and staff gives a report on the agenda item, I will call upon each council member individually if they have a question on that particular item. If you wish to make a motion or second a motion, please state your name first. All votes on all items will be completed by a roll call to meet the standards for State Statute 13D.021. All right, thank you. With that, we have open forum. Is there anybody who wishes to speak at our open forum, Mr. Linwood?
We do not have anyone for open forum tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to approval of minutes. That's number 1 on our agenda. Consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for February 16th, 2021. If there are no questions or comments, we do need a motion to approve.
Member Schilling, so moved.
All right, so we'll have Member Luger make the first. Member Schilling, are you making that second?
I'll make the second.
All right, perfect. Roll call, please. Member Onstead?
Yay.
Member Yeager?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Luger?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. Tonight, we do have scheduled a public hearing. Mr. Linwood, we do need to make a motion to go into that public hearing, correct?
We will, Mayor, yes.
Okay, do we have a motion to go into tonight's public hearing?
Member Schilling, so moved.
Member Schilling makes that first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger makes that second. Mr. Erickson, you'll be leading us in the public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Have prepared just a brief PowerPoint. I'll work through it as quickly as I can. I know this is very similar to the first neighborhood meeting and the second neighborhood meeting that we held here just a couple of weeks ago. And so I'll be quick to go through this, but certainly feel free to ask any questions as we go or at the end. Again, the project location is identified here on the map. I think we're all familiar with that, and we've sent out notices to all the adjacent properties for the improvements for this meeting this evening, as well as the previous neighborhood meetings. Just a quick overview of the project schedule. We started with the feasibility study being ordered back in November, and we've had that first informational meeting. The council received the feasibility study, and we've had that second informational meeting. Into this evening, we're here for the public improvement hearing. And typically, if the council moves forward with that, they also authorize and order the plans and specifications to be prepared. And again, moving through this schedule that I think we're somewhat familiar with, we've done this year after year, we'd likely be looking at approval of plans and specifications in March or April, and then opening bids and awarding a contract likely in that May timeline. And then we would not start construction until August, when our other roadway improvement project, or sanitary sewer and roadway improvement project, is completed. Well, with final completion of this project taking place in October and the assessment hearing taking place in November. A little background about this: the council again did authorize that preparation of the feasibility study on November 4th. A little bit more about the existing condition of the roadways. They're in very poor condition. They were constructed in the 70s and 80s. They don't meet current standards, and that's really why we see the condition that they're in today. Due to the surface and subsurface deterioration, we are recommending the removal and replacement of the pavement. It's not something we can look at just doing a simple mill and overlay with. And drainage issues have been identified, and we will be looking at addressing those as well. Just a quick few shots here of the existing condition of the roadway. Public Works has certainly spent a lot of time over the years maintaining these roadways to keep them passable and in operating condition. We just are running out of time here. We need to make these improvements. And so thus the council had moved forward with authorizing that feasibility study. The proposed improvements that were identified again is more of a replacement project. It's not a full reconstruction, but it's a what we call a bituminous reclamation project. The large machine that you see on the screen here will grind up the asphalt with the underlying aggregate. We'll leave that material in place to strengthen the base, and then we'll add pavement over the top of that. We will be matching the widths of the roadways that exist out there today. For the most part, of course, there's some in and out and undulation of the roadway. We'll try to straighten those out and get things corrected. But for the most part, everything will be reconstructed to match the existing street widths and for the most part grades as well, so that we can match driveways and maintain drainage patterns. With regards to other improvements, we do have drainage improvements. We are going to utilize the existing ditches that are on site. There's areas that don't have ditches but are not creating drainage issues now. The soils are such that they're very pervious and allow for that infiltration, and so we're not seeing issues there. So we're not going to go and create ditches throughout, but there are a couple of areas that we do need to improve. Both culverts that cross under the roadway we're going to be replacing. There's some drainage issue areas off of 267th that we'll be addressing and extending a little bit of storm sewer to make sure that we alleviate the known drainage issues that are out there today. And we will be identifying the installation of curb in a few isolated areas to prevent erosion that happens to occur along the edge of the roadway. So we'll address that, and that's something that staff has discussed with Public Works. A few other proposed improvements: water main. We do want to add a few gate valves. We do have some replacement of existing valves and replacement of hydrants as necessary. The sanitary sewer was televised. We do the televising of the sanitary sewer pipe that's below the grade, just to determine if there's any issues or problems with that sanitary sewer. We have identified just a small spot repair that's needed as part of the project, but otherwise the sanitary sewer was in very good operating condition. Proposed improvements, again, for the most part, matching our existing widths. The road with the figure here identifies that the width does vary. Some of the roadways are a little wider than others. We will be matching those as they exist today. It is our typical road structure section. The material out here is fantastic. The material here is really good. And so we're able to get by with a 6-inch aggregate section. Normally we would see an 8-inch, but our pavement design yielded a little bit less of a section there. And of course we have that more than that material present under the roadway. And so we definitely have a good, strong roadway that will be built with this project. Project funding: 20% of the project is assessed per our assessment policy, with the remaining 80% paid for by the city. With regard to assessments, we look at a number of things, but one residential unit would receive 1 unit assessment. If the parcel can be subdivided into multiple units, they would receive more than 1 unit assessment. We do not have that scenario here. And then we do have apartments where they would receive 1/4 of an assessment per unit. And so we do have a couple of scenarios there, one with a 4-unit building that would receive 1 assessment, and another that would receive 2.5 units of assessments for that property. Here is the parcels adjacent to the improvements. A number of the parcels most of these will receive that 1 unit assessment. There are a couple of parcels that you see that may look that they're adjacent to the improvements. I'm highlighting one here. I'm highlighting another here. Those are parcels that are not assessed as part of this project because they don't have driveway access to our road improvement projects. Part of our assessment policy is parcels that have driveway access would receive assessments. Those parcels that I just highlighted will be assessed when those roadways are reconstructed where their driveways have access. And so they don't get assessed more than once if they're on a corner lot. The 20% assessed number or the assessable portion for the street and drainage improvements totals $1.79 million. If we assess 20% of that, that results in $358,000 being assessed. We initially thought we had 121.5 assessable units. Very recently, within the day or so, we have learned that cemeteries under certain criteria cannot be assessed. And so that cemetery that we have off of 267th is not accessible based on the criteria in state statutes. I believe it is 307.09. And so that does change this number from accessible units of 121.5 to 120.5. And so I just wanted to highlight that this evening, and it'll be corrected for the assessment hearing. It does change the amount of assessments ever so slightly. That 358,000 divided by 120.5 changes that assessment upwards by about $20, $20.75, I think it was. So it does go up ever so slightly. The assessments process does follow Minnesota statutes chapter 429. Part of that requirement is 2 main meetings. We have the public improvement hearing that we have this evening. That's a required meeting. Another required meeting is the assessment hearing, which will take place in November of 2021 here. We also do have additional public neighborhood meetings just to help get public involved in the project, make sure they're aware of what's happening, and really help us learn about other issues that they may be aware of that we can include in the project. As far as that process, again, any objection as we get to the assessment process and the assessment hearing, an objection to that assessment must be presented in writing and signed by the property owner prior to or at that hearing. A notice of appeal must be filed within 30 days after the adoption of the assessment. And again, that interest rate is set at the time of the assessment certification. Typically, we've seen that in that 4 to 5% range. Financing assessments, we have a couple of different options that we're going to look at for this project. We typically look at assessments to be paid over a 15-year period. These assessments for this project are about half what we've seen in previous projects. And so again, that assessment rate of just under $3,000, we might want to look at a 10-year period. And so that'll be determined at the assessment hearing or prior to the hearing. We'll have additional discussions with the city council regarding that. But again, the rate has varied from that 4 to 5%. Property owners will have the option of paying off the assessment without interest accruing within 30 days after the adoption of the assessment hearing. So that'll take place, again, like I said, this fall, and they have 30 days after the adoption to pay that assessment off in full. Otherwise, it will be applied directly to the Schisago County property tax. And you can pay off that assessment in subsequent years prior to November 15th each year. There will be interest accrue through that calendar year once you determine if you want to pay that off in advance. A couple of different assessment payback tables. I have one at 4.5 interest rate for a 15-year period. You can see what that assessment payback table looks like. We've also looked at that with a 10-year interest, or 10-year with that same 4.5% interest rate. This highlight, shortening that up if it's manageable and council feels it's manageable. You can see the total payment because the assessment of $2,950 with interest, the total ultimately becomes that $3,908.75. If we shorten that up, the amount becomes $3,613.75. So a little bit less. You can see the assessment totals annually here are pretty significantly less than what we've seen with some of our previous projects. So next steps, again, we highlighted that with a little bit with the schedule. This evening we're at the stage here where we're holding that public hearing, and this evening we're asking council to hold that public hearing, and if they're inclined to move forward with the project, authorize the preparation of plans and specifications. And we'll continue through this process with approving plans and specification, taking bids, receiving bids, bringing those to council for acceptance, and moving all the way through the process into construction. So with that, I'll stand for any questions that you might have from either council or from the public.
Okay, so Mr. Linwood, let's do this. Member Schilling, can we wait and see if there's any comments from the from our audience first? Or would you
Yes,
like
absolutely. That's fine. I'll wait.
Okay. Mr. Linwood, do you know if we have anybody in our audience that would like to speak?
Yeah, Iverson, we do have a couple that had indicated they thought that they just wanted to watch tonight, but they will give them opportunity. There are two individuals, and I don't know if either one of them would like to state anything for the public hearing. Just please state your name and your address, and then feel free to address the council. I don't think they're interested. They just wanted to watch tonight, and they indicated that might be the case. So,
well, it looks like Robert, are you looking to speak? If you are, you're on mute. Keep trying it. There you go.
I did have a question. So early on in your statement, Mr. Linwood, you stated that it was a full removal and repair. So everything will be taken up on the street, or is it just going to go with the top layer being removed and then resurfaced?
So I can certainly answer that. So all of the pavement will be ground up and ground up with the underlying aggregate. So there won't be any asphalt remaining there. It'll be completely new surfacing.
Okay, I think I need to go to.
And Robert, can you state your full name and your address, please?
Anything? Shit. Okay, I don't know, Michelle.
Robert?
Can I type something? Chat. Question
Hard time
2.
hearing us.
Mr. Linwood,
Mr. Robert?
post.
Robert?
Can you type for me?
Yeah, what am I
Hi,
typing?
Robert?
Type message here.
Okay. Robert, are you able to hear us? Can you state your, yeah. So Rob, would that be something we could enter in once we can get a hold of them, name and address?
Yeah, we're not quite sure what the issue is there, but yeah, we certainly can. I know it sounded like they were going to try to.
Maybe in the chat box. Are we seeing anything in the chat box?
Me, Mayor Iverson, Robert Brenthoff.
Robert, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yes, now I can.
Okay, can you just state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Robert Brunhofer, and my address is 26728 Freeport Avenue in Wyoming.
Perfect. Thank you. Was there any other questions, Robert? Did you get your question answered?
It sounds like all the surface will be completely removed and rebuilt from the underlayment up, supposedly. So
That's correct.
yeah. Okay, that's great.
All right.
That was it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Doesn't look like it. All right. Member Schilling, you had a question? You're on mute.
I was going to ask if Mr. Erickson could go back to the 15-year and 10-year again. I wanted to look at one more thing. Thank you. All right, that's the 10, 15. All right. Okay, I was just looking at the total yearly payment for each one, and it definitely would be cheaper on the 10 in this amount. So, okay, a little more on the monthly, way less on the interest. Okay, thank you.
Can you go back to, yeah, thank you.
And we won't be discussing the if we're going to go to the 10 or the 15-year until the assessment hearing, correct?
Correct. We'll have a conversation with the council prior to that assessment hearing to get more feedback.
Okay. All right. If there are no other questions from the public, then we can move to close the public hearing, and we'll go into council questions after I read the resolution. So do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Member Schilling, so moved.
Member Schilling makes the first motion to close the public hearing, and I'll make that second. Mayor Iverson makes the second. Roll call on that, please. Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Onstead.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. So we are out of that public hearing. We're going to go to agenda item number 2, to consider resolution 20-03-16, a resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for the 2021 street improvement project, City Project 21-01. So we did just hear a presentation from WSB. Is there any other questions from council? I'm going to start with Member Schilling, and I will ask each member individually. Member Schilling, do you have any other further questions for discussion?
No further questions.
Thank you. Member Luker.
I have no further questions.
All right. Member Onstad. You're muted.
I do not have any further questions.
All right. Thank you. Member Yeager.
Oh, no further questions.
All right. And I don't either. So what we'll need with that is we need a motion to approve Resolution 20-03-16, a resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for the 2021 street improvement project, City Project 21-1. Do I have a motion to approve?
Member Luger, so moved.
Member Luger makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Onsted will make the second.
Member Onsted makes that second. Roll call, please. Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Luker.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. That does pass. The consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? That would be 3 and 4 on our agenda. Seeing that nobody wishes to pull anything, we do need a motion to approve consent agenda item number 3 and 4. Do we have a motion to approve?
Onsted will make the first motion.
Member Onstad makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luker makes the second. Roll call, please. Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Luker.
Aye.
Mayor Iverson is an aye. Consent agenda does pass. Acknowledgements of our boards, officers and commissions and department heads. That would be 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Does anybody wish to pull a communication? Seeing nobody wishes to pull a communication, we'll go on to communications number 10 and 11 on our agenda. Ms. Dumas, are you taking 10 for us tonight?
No, I am not. Let me just look at our agenda quick.
Or Mr. Linwood, do we need to go over that? I think the date is important.
The equalization hearing, that's just notice from the Schisago County Assessor's Office that we will have a Board of Equalization hearing on April 20th at 6 p.m. at Wyoming City Hall. They were comfortable doing this year in person due to usually we have only a handful of individuals that show up for it. So it's really an opportunity to the public. If they would prefer a face-to-face meeting, they always have the ability to reach out to the assessor prior to that though. But that's just that date. We've noticed that in the paper. It's on our website. And it's just a communication to the council.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then number 11 is very important. I'm actually going to read it, and then I think Mr. Umjald is going to be speaking on it. I'm hoping to talk a little bit more about it. It's from the Minnesota Department of Health presenting the City of Wyoming with the 2019 Water Fluoridation Quality Award. And that's a pretty big deal because only 70 people, I want to say in the whole wide world, but I think I'm going to say in the state of Minnesota, gets that award. So Mr. Umjald, could you just talk just briefly on that? Because it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yes, the Public Works Department, for the whole 365 days, they had all their reports on time. All of our readings were within the norm of what the Minnesota Bureau of Health wants us to do. And so we never had a mistake the whole year. And so, yeah, pretty proud. 70 other cities did it. And hats off to the utility personnel that work for us.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big deal. And it is for 2019. I just want to make sure that we all know that it isn't the wrong year. It just takes a little while for the Minnesota Department of Health to get that all taken care of, right?
Correct.
So very impressive. And is this the second, third, or fourth year we've earned that? I can't remember now where we're at. So
It was the fourth.
the fourth year, that's impressive. So Awesome. Congratulations on that. We really appreciate it. So something to be proud of. All right, we'll move on to new business, which is number 12 on our agenda. Consider approving the Eagle Scout project improvement for the Hawk Meadows Park Bridge. I'm not sure who's going to start with this introduction and which Eagle Scout is going to go first. So Kelly, Ms. Dumas, are you starting us out?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of the council, staff has the pleasure of introducing you to Andrew Fischette and Aiden Head, who are two local scouts who are in the process of pursuing the rank of Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts. The Eagle Scout rank is achieved when the scouts provide proof that they have applied their character, citizenship, and scouting values in their daily lives. And part of how they do this is by putting together a project that contributes to their community. And so the city of Wyoming has been selected by both of these young men as a worthy recipient of their contribution. And they each have a presentation that they will be making to the council that overviews their proposed project. They did make a presentation similar to this one last night to the Wyoming Park Advisory Commission, and the Park Advisory Commission did recommend both projects to the City Council for review. So with that, I will let Andrew start, and then I will pull up his presentation here and share it on my screen. I can get that set up.
Good to see you again, Andrew. You did a great job at the Park Advisory Commission. So looking forward to this one.
All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right, Andrew, kick it off. Oh, you're muted, Andrew.
Oh, there we are. First, before I start tonight, I just wanted to thank you all again for taking the time to listen through my presentation and consider me as a candidate for an Eagle Scout project in the area. So starting off, my project is going to be a redo / refurbish of the Hawks Meadows walking trail, walking bridge. Next slide, if you will, Kelly. So for my project, I'm going to be removing and replacing boards for the walking path bridge at the Hawks Meadow Trail Park in Wyoming. In addition, there will also be some grooming of the entrance and exits for a smoother transition to the bridge, just for ease of walking. This also entails the removal and, or I guess the removal and transport of the boards to a place where the park staff will pick them up so they can be disposed of properly. I feel my project is needed because the bridge in its current state seems to be steady, but it is also starting to wear it, showing its age. And I feel it could be a little bit safer with newer boards on top. So for younger children, those gaps can be dangerous if they're not looking where they're walking, or for someone who might have a disability or need assistance with movement. Those holes can potentially be dangerous or a hazard. And I feel the bridge also will look nicer with some new boards after they've been out there for a while. And I also feel like the trail seems to be used a lot, and so it'll be nice for a new bridge to be put in. So my plan for the project is to recruit workers, people from my scout unit, family, other honor students, have all of us meet in the morning on probably a Saturday in either April or May, dependent on the weather. And then starting working through till lunch, having lunch, continuing work until it's done. The more specifics of it is we're going to first remove the outer boards on the side of the bridge, the ones highlighted in blue, and then working from the two squares on the end of the white line in the middle of the bridge, working inward, I'm going to have two teams of people removing old boards, putting the screws in some containers so that they don't get put back onto the trail inadvertently. And removing the old boards, putting new ones in, screwing them down, working inwards, with the finishing part being the outer boards being put on, screwed in, And then also while this is happening, there will be people doing a little bit of brush clearing. Just looking at the left side of the picture, you see that there's some brush that might be growing towards the side of the bridge, and that might get bad over time. So a little landscaping there, a little grooming of the site will make it look nice, along with some raking of the leaves near the start of the bridge, and a little landscaping to make the transition from the ground to the bridge smoother. And then when we're done with the project, we're going to do a sweep of the land. So walking as a group in a line, just walking over everywhere, making sure we didn't leave anything behind, any screws, particularly is hazardous to people for those who hike without shoes or to wildlife in the area. Wouldn't be good to have that there. So we want to make sure we leave the site as good as or better than we found it. This is what the bridge will in a way look like. Obviously, it'll be wider and to the same specs as the bridge that's currently installed. But that's what the wood's going to look like. It's going to be pressure treated lumber, and we're thinking of using either stainless steel screws or zinc coated screws so that they won't bleed into the wood over time, and they'll look nice as the day we put them in. But yeah, no, this is what the overarching project should look like or comparable to when it's done. For this project and for part of the Eagle Scout project, specifically, I have to fundraise. And so I'm planning to ask a plethora of sources for donations to my project. Some names include Aquarius Home Services. I have a connection with the Stacy Lions Club. And I'm also planning to ask McCarran's Lumber in Forest Lake for donation of materials or of funds or a price reduction on their materials for my project. The preliminary cost estimate for this project is $610. This includes any materials we'll use for the actual bridge, food for helpers, because we're gonna have lunch in there, bags to put it all in. If we need to do some kind of ties or something around the boards when we're done, so that the park board can come pick up the boards when we're done with them so they can be disposed of properly. Anything like that really is included in the cost. So the entire overarching cost of everything, and our estimate when I sat and priced it out was around $610. Also, in making this presentation, I was following the guide for community projects for Eagles project specifically, and it requested that I list a list of parties involved in the project. Obviously, you guys, Wyoming, Minnesota Parks, are going to be the benefactors, the receivers of the project. My troop will also be involved for this process. They'll be approving it and guiding me along the way, helping me make sure everything goes right, and just there for support if I need it. And then the other party involved will be the Eagle Council. They give the final say in whether this project is approved or if I need to go back to the drawing board or make changes. And then the other party involved will be anyone I receive funds from. So some of the people listed in my fundraising slide. But that's in essence my project. Any of you have any questions?
Thank you, Andrew. Very exciting. I know how busy that park is getting. So it'll be really nice to have a bridge over, having that bridge look better. So my question for you, Andrew, is this. I am not mechanical in any word. I don't use any type of saws or anything like that. So is this something that you're used to using tools, or is this a project where you're going to have to learn how to do all of that? Are you familiar with it, or how does that kind of process work for you?
For me as a person, I'm fairly well versed in using these tools. And so my plan for this project is for those who maybe might not be versed in it. I guess just to state preliminarily, the main tool we use is going to be a screw gun to pull out the old screws and to put new ones in. With the only caveat to that being for the side boards, the blue ones that were in the plan slide, they're going to be screwed in as well, but we're going to need to have an adult use some kind of power saw to just saw off a foot to get the correct length, since they don't sell boards in 17-foot lengths. My plan is to use 3 2x6x4s, I think it is. Anyway, it's going to be 18 feet long, and it needs to be 17, so we're just going to saw a foot off. But for the workers or for the helpers, I'm going to plan to do a demonstration for the first board, just so they all know how to do it and have a preliminary understanding of it. That's just going to be how to use a screw gun, how to set it to forward, how to set it to reverse, how to make sure they don't lose any screws, either using bags, or I thought maybe if we had boxes or something, we'll find some method of containment for the extra screws that we pull out. But overall, I don't think it's going to be too terribly difficult to instruct helpers how to do it.
All right. And when are you thinking this might start happening?
My hope is to do it early April, depending on the weather. Obviously, if it's Minnesota and there's still snow on the ground, or we get the 10-year storm in April, the foot of snow, it won't be happening. But if we do it and weather goes according to plan, I'm planning to do it in April or May. Hopefully having it done and having all the paperwork wrapped up and all of everything requested of me done by May.
All right, perfect. Mr. Almgeld, can you tell me, is there, where that bridge is, and I should know this because it's not far from my house, but where that bridge is there a lot of water that goes underneath that? So I just want to make sure that nobody's going to fall in to the creek or whatever we want to call it, so.
Yeah, Mayor, there is water at times. It's where an infiltration pond kind of structure goes and it drains into the swamp area. A lot of times it's dry though, like in the fall and stuff. Yeah, it's generally dry.
Okay, good. All right. Council, I'll go around the room and you can ask whatever questions you might have. We're going to start with Member Yeager.
Oh, no questions. It sounds really cool, Andrew. Thank you for doing this.
All right, and Member Onstad?
I have one question. Have you done any research on YouTube to see any videos to see how the best way to install the boards is, and then possibly use that to show other people too as a advanced education?
I looked a little bit into it. Yes. Watched a couple of videos on the best method, and then I used that and adapted the strategy to working with a group of people, obviously keeping COVID precautions involved as well, wearing masks and this and that. But the simplest way I think of it is to have a couple groups of people just with one task, one group pulling screws out, putting new ones in, one group walking boards. And that seemed to be the most efficient method to making sure the work goes at a decent pace.
Well, you really have this thought out well. And if it looks half as good as your presentation, I think it's going to be a nice looking bridge.
Thank you.
All right, Member Schilling.
I would just kind of like to reiterate, Andrew, what a great presentation. It sounds like you have everything very well thought out. And as a ex-contractor and a building official, I just wanted to give you a little tip when you go to that zinc aspect. If that's the direction you go, make sure you get the pressure treated approved zinc, because there are a difference in those materials. So, but thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
All right, and Member Luger.
Well, I mean, I was just going to reiterate the same thing that Member Schilling said about the zinc screws. I'm just kidding. No.
We don't know.
Clearly on top of this. This is a great organization. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the final product.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it was a great presentation. So number 12, we need to approve the Eagle Scout project improvement for the Hawk Meadows Park Bridge. Do we have a motion to approve?
Member Luger.
Onstead will make.
All right. So Member Luger makes the first.
Onstead will make the second.
Member Onstead makes the second. Roll call, please. Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Onstead.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. And Andrew, great job. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thanks for providing the opportunity and approving my project.
And we do have a shout out here to you, Andrew, from Carrie on your presentation. It was excellent. So in case you didn't see that in the little box. All right. We'll move on to number 13. Consider approving the Eagle Scout project, Hawk Meadows Park stream cleanup. Ms. Dumas, you're starting us off again.
Yep. So thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Aiden Head is also on the Zoom call tonight. So I will let him jump into his project and share his PowerPoint as well.
All right. Hi, Aiden. You're on mute. There you
Hello.
go.
All right, Aiden, ready to go when you are.
All right, thank you. Thank you everybody for joining me tonight and for taking some time to listen to my project here. So starting off, Andrew and I have actually coincidentally chosen the same, almost same location for our projects at Hawk Meadows Trail. If you can move to the next slide, please, Kelly.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have a few goals of the project. The first one being construct and install a bench for cheerleaders to sit on. The second being construct and install 2 wood duck houses. And the third being remove and dispose of any trash and debris in or around the river, and also to clear the banks to be more accessible and friendly to fishermen. It's not listed, but I edited it before. I didn't know if you guys would be able to see it, but my budget for the project will be about $240, but I'll budget for closer to about $300 just in case there's any extra expenses. And all the pictures in the upcoming slides are in order that you would see walking on the trail from the road. Next slide, please. So here you can see an overview map of the site location. To the north, you have 256th Street and Grail Courts. So the red arrow indicates the direction of the pictures and the Sunrise River. And the squares and the circles represent the location for the wood duck houses and the bench. Next, please. So starting off on the northwest side. So here's the view you can see down the path and the river from the road. Doesn't look like anything too much out of the ordinary, but further down you can see more. Next slide, please. So as you can see, these, oh,
It's okay. She'll go back. Do you want me to go back one?
yes, please.
Okay.
So as you can see, there are lots of weeds and branches that are, getting stuck during low water levels and always have fishing line or lures stuck on them. Yes, next, please. So debris like branches and weeds grab trash and other things that clog up the river. Next, please. So every year there's lots of garbage that ends up in the river. Last year, I personally pulled 3 tied garbage bags already filled with trash out of there that I just found floating around. 2 separate coolers on 2 different occasions, and enough other garbage to fill 2 additional garbage bags that I just picked up off the banks or in the river. Next, please. So here's the bend in the trail that goes over the pipes and also where I plan on putting the bench, as you can see indicated by the picture. Next, please. So here's the southeast side. So there used to be a huge amount of weeds in front of this pipe, similar to the ones that you will see later on in this presentation. The weeds blocked almost all the flow of the water, and eventually it was removed and pulled up by someone and left on the banks. These piles are, somewhat unattractive, and they did stink for quite a while. Next, please. So my plan is also to have those piles of weeds removed if they are still there. I'm not 100% sure if they are still at that location, but whatever the city or park board asks me to do with them, I will do so. As you can see in this slide, there are a lot of tall weeds and grass covering the banks and making walking along the sides of them pretty hard. Just to clarify, that isn't on the trail, but it is somewhat of a tedious task to see. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay.
So the large overhanging tree that you can see in both pictures has been there for as long as I can remember and used to be littered with fishing line, hooks, and lures, which could entangle birds and squirrels. Last year, I went on a limb, literally, and then I cut off a web of fishing gear because I knew it would be unsafe to wildlife and would only snag more. And then last year, the tree behind that one fell down, and it covers more area than you would think in the water, which tangles up more weeds and fishing equipment. Next, please. Just furthermore, there are a ton of low-hanging branches that are also worrisome for fishermen. There's usually line attached to those branches. Next. So the yellow arrow points to a very large amount of weeds that flowed down the river and got stuck. The weeds are on a floating mat of roots and soil and other natural material. It restricts water flow and prohibits animals like fish and waterfowl from traveling up and down the river. It's also an obstacle for fishermen as it makes a big area of water unfishable, causing snagged hooks and more litter. Next, please. And then this is my side for any questions, comments, or concerns from the members of the city.
Great job, Aiden. Couple questions. Wood ducks. So maybe I should ask this question first. Are you looking to get into natural resource conservation? Because by this project, it kind of looks that way. And how did you decide on wood duck huts or whatever you call them, houses?
Well, first and foremost, that is definitely a field that I've considered getting myself into in the future. It's definitely an option, but I'm not sure. With regards to the wood duck houses, I picked those knowing because I personally have seen wood ducks on the river, and I haven't seen any sort of like houses built for them. And I know it would be beneficial to the ecosystem to have some houses there for them.
That's nice. All right. And do you live by Hot Meadows?
Yes, I do. I live on Goodview Avenue, so really close.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for taking some of that garbage up too. That's awesome. We appreciate that. All right. So I'll open that up to council members. We're going to start with Member Schilling. Any questions?
No questions. I love your presentation. Thank you very much. I'm actually gonna keep a close eye on this. And when you guys are all completed, I'm gonna take a walk down there. I have my new knee, so I can do that again. So
Yeah, that's right. All right, Member Luger.
I have no questions. Again, I'm looking forward to see the end result of this. I think it's going to be great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Member Yeager.
Oh, really, this is cool, Aiden. I love the wood duck houses. Are you going to do this, do your project at the same time with Andrew's project?
It might not be the same dates, but probably April, May, same time around there. Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering if you were going to do it all by yourself or borrow some of Andrew's staff.
Well, that's always up for debate.
Okay.
All right, and Member Onstead.
I learned something here. I did not know there were fish in that area. I've been out there a couple times and I had no idea there were fish in that area. You are putting in wood duck houses. Could you describe them really quickly? I don't know what a wood duck house looks like.
Sure. They're usually 24 inches in height. I don't know, 10 inches in width. And they have a roof over the top of the post going through the back, with a small hole in the front that allows them to get in and out. The one that I'll be constructing also has chicken wire on the inside of the front of the wood duck house because that allows the babies to crawl out more easily. It's constructed out of wood.
Very interesting.
All right, any further questions? If not, we need a motion to approve the Eagle Scout Project Hawk Meadows Park Stream cleanup. So let me give a shout out to Aiden before we do this. Hold on. We did get a shout out. I want to make sure I read that. We have from someone watching, her name is Carrie, said, thanks, Aiden. We love the trail and look forward to your improvements. So kudos for that. All right, we do need a motion to approve. Do we have a first?
Member Schilling, so moved.
Member Schilling makes that first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger makes that second. Roll call, please. Member Onstad?
Aye.
Member Yeager?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Luger?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. Congratulations, you guys. We're really looking forward to it. And thanks for picking Hawk Meadows as your project. We really do appreciate it. So look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Dumas, would we be able to possibly put pictures, have somebody go out and take pictures and then put it on the website? Is that something I think would be look really nice, or maybe a video? I don't know, something that just kind of shows that off. So
Absolutely. Yep. Once the project is complete, we'd be happy to share some updates on the city's social media.
awesome. That's great. And get some pictures of the scouts, I hope. So perfect. All right. So we will move on to number 14 on our agenda, to consider the hiring of Patrick Paranto as a full-time maintenance worker with the city of Wyoming, effective March 22nd, 2021. Mr. Almgeld, I believe you're going to speak to us on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and council members. We have completed the selection process on a group of candidates for our maintenance worker 1 position. We viewed 14 applicants for the position. Then we had the first round interviews on the top applicants. Then we had the second round interviews with the final candidates. And from that second round, we picked Patrick Paranto. Patrick has been selected as a top candidate. Most recently, Patrick was employed with the city of Blaine for 3 years. His duties there consisted of asphalt patching, paving, tree trimming, curb work, sign work, and snow plowing. Patrick has also worked on stormwater catch basins and record keeping, and has a Class A driver's license. Based on his qualification, wage history, and work experience, staff is recommending starting Patrick at step 4, $28.13 per hour, with a 6-month probationary period per the local 49ers contract. So our staff recommends the hiring of Patrick Paranto for the position for the maintenance worker 1, with a tentative start date of March 22nd, 2021, at a starting salary of $28.13 per hour upon successful completion of the background check and drug test. And with that, I'll any questions.
All right, thank you. We're going to start with Member Yeager. Any questions, please?
Yeah, I did have one. Looking at what Patrick has been doing in Blaine, I know that this is a new position that we are paying out of the enterprise funds.
Yeah.
Would we in the future begin to pay this position out of the general funds, the street funds?
Well, Patrick has 16 years of experience as a parts manager between the last 2 jobs before Blaine. So he has a lot of documentation experience with Excel spreadsheets, and that's kind of what we're looking at for the surface water area, the documentation part. And so we thought he was the best choice, and we just continue with the way we have it. I think it's 50% surface water, 50% general fund.
Okay, and I'm guessing you have there are no plans to change that to like everybody else, to have them partially paid out of the street fund. You have no plans to change that in the near future.
Well, I don't know what the future brings in years to come, but right now we don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm still leery about expanding staff in the middle of a recession. That's, otherwise he sounds like a good candidate. That's all I had.
Thank you.
All right, Member Schilling.
I actually have no questions. Yeah, that's it. I don't have any questions.
All right, thank you. Member Luger,
I have no questions either.
Member Onstead.
I have no questions.
All right, my only question is this, did we budget for this in 2021?
Correct, Mayor. Yes, we did.
Okay, all right, just making sure. I was pretty sure we did, so awesome. All right, so with that, we need a motion to approve Patrick Paranto as a full-time maintenance worker with the City of Wyoming effective March 22nd, 2021. Do we have a motion to approve?
Member Schilling, so moved.
Member Schilling makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Onstead makes a second.
Member Onstead makes that second. Roll call, please. Member Yeager?
Nay.
Member Onstead?
Aye.
Member Luger?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye, so that passes 4-1. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Pronto to the City of Wyoming. I think he'll make a great addition. So, all right, number 15, accept the resignation of Josh Smith and authorize the posting of a maintenance worker 1 position. Mr. Elmjeld?
Thank you, Mayor. Joshua Smith has submitted his letter of resignation from Public Works Department. Josh has been employed here for 7 years as a public works worker. Would sure like to thank Josh for his service and wish him the well in his new challenge. Staff would like to start the hiring process for a new public works employee. The position would be the full-time, and the starting wage as of January 1st, 2021 is $24.31 per hour per the union contract. So at this time, staff recommendation would be to accept the resignation of Joshua Smith as of March 5th, 2021, and start the process of hiring a full-time public works worker.
All right, questions. We're going to start with Member Luger.
I have no questions.
Member Onstead.
I have no questions.
Member Yeager.
Yeah, this is just a straight replacement, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Member Schilling.
No questions.
All right, and I have none either. Just Josh, good job for 7 years, and we wish you the best. So we need a motion to approve the resignation of Josh Smith, and authorize the posting of a maintenance worker 1 position. Do I have a motion to approve?
Member Luger, so moved.
Member Luger makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Schilling, second.
Member Schilling makes the second. Roll call. Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Onstead.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. Number 16, to consider resolution 21-03-18, a resolution authorizing the Schisago Lakes Joint Sewer Treatment Commission's submittal of a loan application to the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority. Mr. Elmjeld, are you starting with this or Mr. Linwood? Rob, you're muted.
Okay, now I'm ready. I apologize. Mayor, members of the council, this item is in regards to the Schisago Lakes Joint Sewer Treatment Wastewater Plant. Last year, the Schisago Lakes Joint Sewer Treatment Plant, with the City of Wyoming as part of, started a 5-year capital improvement project, and then prioritized projects for infrastructure and that to ensure that the facility continued to operate appropriately. This was done with financial consultants at the time with Springstead, now Baker Tilly, and then they did a submittal to the Public Facilities Authority for these loans and these capital improvements. What we're approving tonight is a resolution just supporting this next project on this 5-year improvement project. This will be a necessary exercise every year to do this, to go through and support the project. For 2021, this year it is the Andrew Lift Station improvement in Schisago, and then another lift station in Schisago City. These are 2 large lift stations as part of the joint sewer plant. The project cost is approximately $850,000. That'll be the loan amount, and then Wyoming's share of these projects is 23.12%. We did budget for these improvements and factored all of these improvements in our 2018 utility rate study. So we have factored this in for those rates from 2019 to 2023. So tonight we'll ask the council that you do approve this resolution. This is being put to our other partners in this. So Schisago City, Center City, Lindstrom, Stacy, and Schisago City and South Central Sanitary District will need to approve this as well before they get the funding from that PFA loan.
All right, thank you. We'll start with questions from council. Member Yeager.
No questions.
Member Schilling.
No questions.
Member Luker.
No questions.
Member Onstad.
No questions.
And I have none either. So we will need a motion to approve resolution 21-03-18, a resolution authorizing the Schisago Lakes Joint Sewer Treatment Commission submittal of a loan application to the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority. Do we have a motion to approve?
Member Schilling, so moved.
Member Schilling makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luker makes the second. Roll call, please. Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. Number 17 on our agenda to consider resolution 21-03-19, a resolution vacating certain city drainage and utility easements and creation of a replacement easement at the preserve at Comfort Lake Development. Mr. Erickson or Mr. Linwood taking this one on? I think it's going to be a little complicated.
Shouldn't be too bad, Mayor. I'll start with this one. Mayor and member of council, I'm presenting on behalf of Mr. Weck tonight. He could not participate in tonight's meeting, but I'll go through this. I think to really look at this from a, from a starting point, the Wyoming City Council approved the final plat for the preserve of Comfort Lake last year, and there were drainage easements that were identified that a swale running through lots 4, 5, and 6 of block 3 at the preserve. During the construction process and the stormwater process and the grading, the developer submitted a design change to engineering to look at that swale and redirect some of that stormwater. Engineering did go through that and we're okay with that change in that drainage. But as part of this, there's a new drainage way that was going to be completed in lots 3 and 4 that flows north to 255th. So basically what the developer is requesting tonight, they filled out an application for vacation. So they're asking that there's a vacation of those existing easements that have been recorded on that plat. So lots 4, 5, and 6 be vacated by the city. And then that we would replace those with new easements for that new drainage between that property line for lots 3, 4, and 5. From lots 3 and 4, from 5 feet on either side to 10 feet. And there also would be some drainage easement that would be increased along the property lines of lots 4, 5, and 6 from 15 feet to 30 feet. These would just be to, like I said, accommodate that new drainage way that was approved by our city engineering. I think that kind of goes through the basics, but I know this is not an everyday item that we approve, so we're happy to go answer any questions. And I'm sure Mr. Erickson, if he has anything to add to this, he can jump into.
All right, so questions from council. We're going to start with member Luger.
I have no questions.
Okay. Member Onstad.
I have no questions.
Member Yeager.
I do have a question. Will this change the amount, will there be any changes in the amount of water that will be drained or flowing through this area? Like in the quality of the drainage?
I'd be happy to answer that question. The drainage, for the most part, is not changing in volume. They're simply changing really the location of a drainage swale to not bisect the lots, but more be directed out towards the road and follow the ditch along the edge of the roadway. And so really, there's really no change in the drainage or the flow. We have engaged Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District prior to allowing the change to be made. And so they're comfortable with the change as well. So very good question.
Okay, thank you.
Right, member Schilling.
I have no questions.
All right, and I have None either. So with that, we need a motion to approve Resolution 21-03-19, a resolution vacating certain city drainage and utility easements and creation of replacement easements at the preserve at Comfort Lake Development. Do we have a motion to approve?
Member Luger, so moved.
Thanks, Member Luger. Member Luger makes that first. Do we, it works really well when we all do the first and the second, so appreciate it. All right, do we have a second?
Member Onsted makes the second.
All right, Member Onsted makes that second. Roll call, please. Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Onsted.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. All right, number 18, which is the last on our agenda, to consider resolution 21-03-20, a resolution authorizing submission of local road improvement program, LRIP, grant application for the municipal state aid, MSAS, 108 East Viking Boulevard reconstruction from Fenwick Avenue to approximately 690 feet east of Glen Oak Drive. Mr. Erickson, this would be yours.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. You might recall a couple of years ago, 3, I think, actually, with the Pioneer Road Improvement Project, we were successful with the Local Roads Improvement Program grant. We did receive $1 million for our community, and so I think everybody was thrilled when that news came out. And so that application is out again. There's a solicitation for those funds. Again, just a little background on the program. The Local Roads Improvement Program was established by the Minnesota Legislature in 2002. This year, the solicitation is out. There's $75 million that can be awarded to county, state aid cities, non-state aid cities, and townships. The maximum request this year is $1.25 million. You might recall we received $1 million. That was the maximum request at that time. And so the amount has gone up a little bit. We fall under, there's really 3 categories for this solicitation. We fall under the routes of regional significance. And so we feel a good candidate project would be the East Viking Roadway Improvement Project. We've talked about that for some time. We have not been able to pull that project together quite yet. We will be reconstructing a portion of that with our sanitary sewer improvement project here from 61 to Fenwick. And we feel that the remaining portion from Fenwick to about 690 feet east of Glen Oak would be another great candidate project. Not only are we looking at potentially reconstructing the roadway, but also filling in a number of gaps within that trail network. We have sidewalks on both sides, not all in the greatest of condition, but they also are don't extend along that corridor. And so we feel that part of that grant application really deals with pedestrian movements and that helps these projects score well. And so we not only do we think it'll help us score well, but we think it is something that will fit really well with what we want to see out there. And so staff has prepared the grant application. The applications are due March 3rd, which is tomorrow. And so we're ready to submit that. We do need council approval of the resolution supporting that. And so that's what we're here this evening for. A little bit more background. The project can't be awarded until after the selection period. We are not proposing to construct that here this construction season. The schedule that we've outlined would be for a subsequent year, likely 2022, but that's something that we would work with City Council on to determine what that is. The project, for the most part, is almost fully funded. We have a project cost that is roughly $1.5 million. We're going to be seeking $1.25 million. A portion of the project costs cannot be recouped, and the funds are really only eligible to recover reconstruction costs. And so you are aware that East Viking is on our capital improvements plan, and so we do think that this would be a great candidate project. So with that, I'll stand for any questions that you might have, but staff is recommending the resolution authorizing the submission of the Local Road Improvements Program grant application.
All right, Mr. Erickson, I'm going to tell you this right now. The first time that I got that phone call for that first award, I'm pretty sure I dropped the phone and did the happy dance. And I could see Mr. Linwood kind of laughing at that and you, but very true. It was very exciting, right? So that was very exciting. So
Might sound
I'm
embarrassing.
really hoping.
I did one too.
Yeah, I think we were all just amazed at that. So really hoping we can get this grant again because we know that road needs it. So I have no questions. We're going to go on to Member Yeager for any questions.
Yeah, are there any official or unofficial restrictions on how often you can get this grant?
There are not. It is an extremely competitive grant. And so, yeah, there's not any restrictions that we would not be eligible. And so there's strict criteria and there's a scoring methodology that MnDOT will go through in scoring these. And, we do feel this is a good candidate project. But again, it is a very competitive grant. And so there's certainly no guarantees we'll be successful.
Right.
We do think it's certainly worthwhile to apply.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Member Schilling.
I actually don't have any questions, Mr. Erickson. I think it's great that we apply for these, so my fingers are crossed and hoping that it works out for us.
Great. Member Luker.
This was obviously a great benefit to our city and to our residents. The last time that we were able to acquire this, and I'm wondering, Mr. Erickson, if you can give us just, for anybody listening, just some quick examples of what it in the proposal. It says that it would be applied to capital construction costs only. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? What are a handful of examples?
Yeah, so the project is the eligible funds can be used for construction. So it'll be the reconstruction of the roadway, the removal of the concrete curb and gutter on the edges of the roadway, complete replacement of all the surfacing that is out there. We have concrete sidewalks on both sides now. We would look to potentially even expand that all the way out east along that corridor. We could potentially look at a bituminous trail on one side and a sidewalk on the other. And so those are all eligible costs. The costs that are not eligible are things like if there's easement acquisition needs, if there's, for the engineering and the construction observation and survey, soil borings, things of that nature are not eligible. But all of the capital construction costs for the actual work taking place are eligible costs. And those do exceed that $1.25 million. And so we would be potentially eligible for that full grant amount.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, and Member Onstad.
No questions.
All right, and I have to put it on this. Anytime we can make our city more walkable, and if we can, add some more sidewalks and definitely add some more trail, I just am all for that. I think that's extremely important. So I'm going to make life really easy, and I'll be the first one to move to approve Resolution 21-03-20, resolution authorizing submission of local road improvement program grant application for municipal state aid, 108 East Viking Boulevard reconstruction from Fenwick Avenue to approximately 690 feet east of Glen Oak Drive. So I make that first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger makes that second. Roll call, please. Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
And Mayor Everson is an aye. It does pass. So let's all keep our fingers crossed on that. All right, Council. Member Schilling has both of them crossed. That's great. All right, let's start with reports. So let's go with Member Onstad.
The last 2 weeks, I went to the Joint Park Planning Board, the Planning Commission, and I also attended the public neighborhood meeting on the 18th concerning the new roads going in for next year, or for this next year.
Awesome, thank you. Member Luker.
I also attended the street neighborhood meeting on the 18th, the Joint Park Planning Board meeting on the 23rd, and yesterday's Park Advisory Commission meeting.
All right, thank you. Member Schilling.
I wasn't as productive of both of them. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and have a good night.
All right, thank you. Member Yeager.
Well, I attended the neighborhood meeting for the road project, and also thank you all for watching.
All right, and I also attended the Park Advisory Commission meeting, the neighborhood meeting as well, but I was, that was it actually for those 2 weeks. I do want to say this because I want to make sure this gets into our minutes. A comment from Robert, and this is actually very exciting. He writes that the 2 projects that we just approved, that makes 7 Eagle projects from Troop 142 at Hawk Meadows. So a big shout out to Troop 142 for helping us take care of Hawk Meadows. I think that's amazing that they're willing to help us out on that park, and they're great projects. So with that, we're going to keep it short, and I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Member Schilling, second.
Okay, I was gonna say, everybody want to stand? All right, Member Schilling makes that second, and we're just gonna go by nods of heads. So all in favor? All right. Aye. All right. I call adjournment at 8:23. Everybody have a great couple of weeks and take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.